Welcome, everybody.
Welcome.
Hello, it's nice to see you.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Hey, Doug.
Hi, hey, Sharon.
Hey.
Hey. Welcome. It's so good to see you. We'll wait just a minute and see if everyone can get logged in and sound going. Thank you for joining us for today's meeting.
Sharon, I hope your ears were just burning. We were all just talking about you and your dog and how we wish we could be face-to-face with you because we value these interactions, but we value the face-to-face interactions with you so much. It's nice when you have a colleague who's a friend. And so we were even talking about how we'll talk about sandwiches and just, everything. And so hope your ears were burning because we were literally all just saying nice things about you just a moment ago.
Very nice.
Oh, including also talking about your promotional materials that you use for your program and how impressed we are with what you did with the Ed Futures funding and just a lot of good things about you and your program.
Thank you. Very nice. You know what? For my group, Coastline declined my third year of funding. It was, it was a big thing. We couldn't get it back. And so it's like, it was bad. But now, today I just went to, there's local SWP funding and it looks good. So I'm not going to be the only one sitting for free. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Because we're all, it's funny because all these people are on overload, and I don't know how many hours are in a day, but I came in on this old school model, like in the year 2000, that I'm part-time, this is all I do. And that's the way it is. And, I still have faculty ranking and blah, 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 but it's all I do. So I can't say, well, I can't do your thing because I have 5 million other things to do. All I do is prep. So it works out. So maybe I have funding, so I feel better.
Totally.
But you know what this means? What does this mean? 2 vaccines.
Oh, yay.
Nice.
So that's good.
Well, welcome everybody. I'm Megan Kuplinski, one of the co-leads along with Shannon Turman and Renee Marshall. We are so glad to see you today. We can go to our agenda. We're all introducing ourselves in the chat, so take a second and throw that in there. We're going to have 2 really main topics for our meeting today. We're going to start with some breakouts to gather some good information about the different pathways to teaching. We want to capture not just EDU in early childhood, but we also want to look into our career changers and our high schoolers and gather ideas of what you want to see in future professional development. And we also want to dive in and share some cool stuff. It's an update from last time about graduation celebrations, regalia, and just getting to know how we can celebrate milestones for our students. We'll end with some save the dates for some good upcoming events too. But first, we want to welcome Rachel from our early childhood colleagues community of practice, because we know so many of us overlap with ECE and EDU, and we're related, right? We're on guided pathways together. So Rachel, can you share with us an overview of your community of practice meetings?
Hello, everyone. Hope you're well. We've been leading ECE communities of practice meetings all throughout the entire year. Ours, I think, have taken a little bit different of a turn than what you're doing in your community of practice meetings. We actually have had our faculty who show up to the meetings. We've had several faculty volunteer skills that they have to present to one another, which has been really interesting. We had a couple of faculty up in Northern California share with us about Zoom tips and tricks. And so we spend a lot of time talking about annotation. And next month, we are having a group that ran an ECE mathematics cohort. They're actually going to come and do a presentation on early childhood mathematics and resources available to faculty for classes. They're going to have a panel of people who went through the program, including myself, kind of talk about how we've incorporated some of these resources in our classes so people can get some ideas on how to utilize that information. We have had a lot of discussion recently around the mentoring program, which we use for students to be able to get the time that they need in classes with children. And our mentoring program is going away due to funding. And so what that looks like in the future has been a big discussion for us. And so last month we invited a couple of people to present on that. And we were going to do breakout rooms where people could come together and talk about what they're planning on doing for mentoring in the fall. And we actually ran out of time. So next week, we're going to be hosting a meeting where it's open rooms for people to come and talk with one another about what they're planning for the fall. Will the campuses be open for the fall? What does that look like if they're going to be having their lab schools available? So there's just going to be a whole lot of dialogue we'll have around the mentoring program. We're looking at possibly advocating on behalf of the mentor program to other groups that we are hearing buzz about potentially taking the lead on. And so we're looking at what is that going to look like for us. And I think we'll have more to talk about in that advocacy effort after we meet next week. The other thing that we have been working on through the year, and to be honest, I haven't been as good with it in the past couple of months, just updating. But if you're not familiar, this website is a resource that we developed for faculty. It's called the EC Faculty Collective, and it's just been a resource for faculty to be able to house tools and resources that we share in our meetings. I actually, if you as a EDU group, we would love to build out more information and resources on that section. We're actually, I don't think we really have any, but we would love to incorporate resources that you might have and want to share with other faculty. So if you are interested in donating your resources to our collaborative efforts, don't hesitate to reach out. My email address is on the screen. We would love to include you in what we're doing on this website because it is incredible. So just to say, not to say too much bragging about myself, but
It's pretty awesome, Rachel, and you've led the charge, and so please take some credit because, you know, in our last EDU COP, we had a lot of our early childhood colleagues attend, and so we wanted to make sure that everybody knew that we've got the EDU COP and the ECE COP, early childhood. Here's a great thing. It's all open for anybody who's interested, so people can absolutely be part of both. But we just want to make sure that we're meeting everyone's needs. And if somebody needs more ECE, we want to make sure that we're sending them in the right direction. So Rachel's email is on screen. It's also in the chat. And also, I just want to mention, Rachel put the website, the ECE Faculty Collective website is in the chat as well. So please make sure you monitor the chat during our meetings because we like to use the chat box. This is great.
Thank you so much.
Can we see also quickly if anybody has any questions for Rachel about the COP? Okay, if nobody does, no worries, or you could put them in chat at any time. And if for some reason Rachel's not here because we know she has students coming, then we can make sure that we connect you later. So thank you so much. Thank you, Rachel, for being here today.
you're welcome.
Wonderful, yes. She has done some phenomenal work for sure. It's been exciting to see all the growth that's taken place over the last year. So today we want to do something again a little different. We're trying to mix things up as we continue to meet and share ideas, collaborate where we can, and continue to build a better future for what we're working with, right? And coming up with options and finding solutions and thinking about preparing for the future within conferences that are coming up and making sure that we are prepared to support you all in the right direction in which we feel that would be best to support not only faculty and coordinators in EDU, but as well as our students. So looking at that opportunity, there's a lot of growth that we have coming and a lot of opportunity that we can build for our students in fall. So looking at some options, what we've created today, and I've added the link into the page, to the comments a couple of times. I'm going to paste it again right now. That is the link directly to this Google slide. And these links here will take you out to these 4 options, and we're going to put you into breakout rooms based on these options. So how we will do this, within those breakout rooms is let you choose the room that you'd like to go to based on ECE, EDU, career changers, and dual enrollment. So there's opportunity to support students within all of those areas and what that looks like. So being able to come together in those breakout rooms and just have somebody open up the notes that are there and just start throwing in your thoughts and ideas for us so that we can go back and review them. So thinking about the pathways, the certificates, the exams, the opportunities for our community college students, and then thinking about topics that we would like to see in future conferences, workshops, professional development for not only faculty and coordinators, but for our students. So within each one of these links is a Google Doc that just has a place for you to type in some notes for us, as well as any thoughts and ideas that you have for preparing for future conferences.
Shannon, do you mind showing the link really quickly so they can have the visual
Sure.
on what that looks like? Thank you. And so, yeah, within each of these groups, we're going to have some quick discussions about this in terms of kind of what's needed and what's needed for students and what's needed for faculty. So, and I'm sorry, but Shannon, you said they could move from groups, correct? If for some reason they'd started one and, okay, great.
Yeah, so it's really easy because I'm going to set up the breakout rooms for you to self-select out of those four rooms. So you can just choose which room that you would like to support. And this is not going in with your expertise and saying, we're going to go in and tell you, all of these things that are working. This is for you to say, I want to go into the dual enrollment because I need to know more about how to support our high school students. So coming up with a list of ways to do that. What are some questions that you have? What are some topics that should be covered in some professional development training and workshops that we can create and look at moving forward? Okay. Are there any questions on that before we jump in?
Shannon, will we go to number 1, 2, 3, 4 in the order that they are at, or did you name the breakout?
I am naming them now.
Awesome.
And so there will be the 4 rooms. I started and then I started letting people in. Sorry, got me behind schedule. So we have just the ECE is room 1, then room 2 is just going to follow in order, EDU and all right, I just had the last one. Okay, so awesome, Norma. So as soon as they open up, you're going to be able to select your own room and choose where you'd like to go.
Shannon, can you remind everybody how many minutes we'll be doing this, please?
We have scheduled 15 minutes for this. So Renee, Megan, and I will jump into each room, check to see how things are going, and then also help you all within any questions that you may have and help with some of the dialogue to keep things moving. So we will be popping in and out to support and we'll have the 15 minutes. Okay. So it's 3:14 by the time we all get in, it'll be 3:15. So we'll come right back at 3:30. All right. Rooms are open. You may be able to select your space now.
Okay, so.
Oh, this is so cool. You can see who's joining what too. I love it.
Why can't where am I clicking? Where am I?
Karen, you're going to go down on your bottom. There's a 4 square. It almost looks like a Rubik's Cube and it says breakout rooms.
You're right.
Click on that. It'll give you your 4 choices and then you just plunk yourself where you want to go.
I'm
Shannon,
so
how did you
getting
do
hard
that?
of hearing. I can't see anymore. Okay. Okay, I got it.
Shannon, how did you do that?
Okay, so I just went in and when you go in to create the rooms, so I chose how many rooms I wanted to create, and at the bottom there's 3 options, and I chose let participants self-select.
Okay, hold on.
So now I don't see my name.
Oh,
I'm sorry, I don't see those choices. How do you do that again?
I'm not sure if ours are showing the same, but for
I
me,
can't. Yeah.
at the bottom, it shows breakout rooms and there's 4 squares that look almost like a Rubik's Cube. Then you click on that and it brings up the 4 choices and it shows who's gone to what room.
But okay, so I've just clicked, but I don't see that I went into room 2.
Okay, try to click it again then, Sharon. Try to, oh, you know what? If you hover where the number is, like, because you're going to go in EDU and it says 3 right now.
Yes.
You hover there and then click join. She's in. Yay!
Woohoo! Okay, if anybody wants me to assign them to a space, I can do that. So Roxanne is
Yes, can
asking
you-
for, sure thing. There you go.
Can you, this is Wa Pham. Can you put me into ECE, please?
Sure thing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you put me into dual enrollment, Angela Bever?
Of course, Angela.
Sure thing, Angela. Good to see you.
Jennifer, what do you want? Or what's going to work best for you?
Education,
Education.
if possible.
There you
Yes.
go.
Thank you.
Bill, where would you like to go?
Bill, we've got 4 different choices for the breakout right now. We're going either into early childhood education, talking about career changers on our pathway, and dual enrollment high school students.
I wonder if he's in 2 places at once. He sometimes has to do that.
You know what? Why don't you put him where you think he'd like to be? Maybe he'd go in career changers?
I think that would be perfect for him. Dual
Okay.
enrollment would also be good. So, okay. So I'm going to pause the recording and no one else has added
Okay.
to join. So let me, too many buttons.
Talked about it,
Sorry.
but generally just elevating the profession, you know, and reputable profession and professional wages. Also, one idea was to, you know, use these industry partnerships in areas of need like STEM and CTE teaching, bilingual ed, special ed. Get those advisory partners, workforce partners connected to you enough that you can start recruiting to experts in the field and say, do you have any people that you know are leaders? Did you know about the CTE credential pathway, for example?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we need to seek it. So when, you know, you're on a hiring committee and they say, why aren't there any men in your department, Megan, for reading and teacher prep? And we say, well, no one applied. That's not good enough. We have to now recruit to the areas where we know we're missing applicants. And we need to tell them we are looking for you. Did you know that? Here's training, here's support. What do you need?
You know, it's fascinating you say that, Megan. Yesterday I was on a call where I was talking about how if we're going to like be real, the field of early childhood are Latina women. That's who our field is. And somebody on the call literally said, oh, well, if we're talking about equity, well, you mentioned women and Latinos. And I was like, no, if you have an entire industry sector that is one population, that's a problem. That's a systematic racist problem. And they were like, huh? So I love that this is part of the discussion right now. We need to seek things. It's not
Yes.
just about having them find us. How do we seek out those people who might have never considered a CTE credential or realize they're already eligible for one?
Absolutely. What did
And
the
I
other
also-
groups?
In one of my
uncover?
classes, I also talk about and I ask males specifically, why do you think there are not more males in this profession? And I get a lot of the response I get is because the pay is not good enough. They feel that they need to support their families and the pay does not allow them to do that. It happens every semester.
I love that you say that, Kathleen, because we're working with STIRS right now on how do we share information about financial stability and like, you know what I mean, like basic finance information. So I shouldn't say stability, financial literacy, simultaneously while showing how the STIRS system in itself is recruitment and retention for this career field. If people understand about retirement, like if you stick it in, like if you stick it out, you can be in really good shape, but a lot of people don't look at the long term and a lot of people don't know how to maximize salary. And I think that should be required within our EDU class where we are talking not just about salary, but salary placement and a salary placement comparison about, you know, if you live by 4 districts or 7 districts, you're pulling every single district and showing it side by side to those students because a lot of it is in their own control and they don't realize it.
I'm really happy that you said that, Renee. I think one of the things that gets left out is exactly what you're talking about, right? So if you say, hey, young person, you're 20, 21, 22 years old, I realize that the starting pay isn't where it should be, but if you look at it from the long term, boy, even if you want to change careers after 20 years, you've got a very generous pension, you move on to a different career. You know, it's almost like being in the military from that standpoint.
Yeah, people don't teach our students really how to maximize it. I know for me, it was, I came from middle class and then my dad died when I was 10. So we like flip-flopped to poverty very quickly. And like my mom made it seem like everything was okay, but we really struggled. And it's like, you don't have to. Like I was so driven to get that master's degree and my credential at the same time that by my second year in K-12, I had maxed myself on the salary schedule by my second year. It's like $500 more a month if you just like make yourself do it. And I had friends, like Christopher saying, like I had friends who waited 20 some years before they even got that information. I also know as somebody, I'm 47 right now. When I was teaching TK through 12, I was in my 30s at that point. I was told to not attend anything from STIRS. Oh, you don't go to the STIRS workshop, you're too young. It's like this belief in the system that you wait until you're like 47 or 55 or to have the conversation about retirement, as opposed to before you even step on the pathway, let's talk about the financial side of this career and not a job, this career, because careers have opportunities and ability to heighten. And that's what education is. If we just market it the right way and we teach them all about it. Thank goodness. And STIRS has taken an active part. They're meeting with us like regularly right now, and they are absolutely going to be true thought partners in this.
I was just going to jump in because this week in my CID 200 class, we've actually been looking at salary schedules and talking about that. And we pulled the column and the step. Literally, I just taught I have an evening class. We did that all last night, and not to say like, oh, but what we did was I tried to really try that to the CSTP 6 and talk to them about the fact that in many professions, they require you to take so many units or so many classes or things of that nature each year to keep your license or your credential. And I really tied it back to that in the profession of teaching, we attach it to your salary. So if you want to make the moves, you want to move over that column, you're going to be making those, adding that professional development as you go. And every chance you get, you're going to write that check and get those 1 or 2 units. Every opportunity you get, and so that's kind of how I tied that to my class last night and talked to them about induction and what to expect, moving forward, and how that would also be an opportunity to continue to develop. So that's how I approach it, kind of just tying it back to the CSTPs.
I love that you mentioned grabbing the units too. I literally got units once for going to a Saturday workshop on how to make bulletin boards. So there's all sorts of opportunities.
I got units for traveling to Mexico for a summer because it's increasing my cultural understanding, right?
I see in the chat somebody went to a Star Wars museum visit and that counted as units. Yeah, I love it. That's working the system. Beautiful. My sister did one, and it might be the same kind of thing that Leticia is talking about here, where it was this whole list of different field trips in her community. And then based on the number of field trips she went to and learned about, then she got the number of units related to it. So lots of opportunities.
Was there anything surprising from our high school dual enrollment group that you want to share?
We did have some great conversation. So I think really focused in on what's working right now and some ideas for the future on how we can incorporate more student support in the development of getting those students that are dual enrolled to attend our colleges through some different activities and ideas, using our education students as part of that plan, and really focusing in on that grow your own type of environment. So that was really where a lot of our conversation went. Was there anything else that I came in a little late and I was trying to multitask, so did I leave anything out, Leticia? Claudine's shared a lot too about what they're doing, and they're doing some phenomenal things.
No, I think we just posed a lot of questions about what it looks like and what does it look like in different contexts where there's a lot more options for students to transfer or to go into after high school. So we might not necessarily see them at our institution. But I think just really good examples that folks gave.
For sure. Wonderful.
Well, we're really excited for the ideas that we're going to be looking over in the next weeks and months, because we're trying to contribute to ideas of what the field needs and wants so that we can provide workshops, for example, at the Bringing Education Systems Together. Renee has last time's flyer, or was it 2019, right? So Renee, you want to highlight what's coming soon?
Well, actually, do you mind if I just briefly share about my team? Because I had the chance to meet with the EDU group. And
Yes.
so just briefly, really interesting discussion. First of all, we appreciated the time to have a discussion, and we felt like there was a need for more time for discussion. We were talking a lot about fieldwork agreements, MOUs, the terminologies, the roadblocks, you know, like what do we need to do kind of in that area to kind of smoothen the process for many of us that are involved in that. We also talked about some unique issues in terms of like one person that was on our team. They are working directly with the district that is not going to be going back face to face in fall. So it's like there's this assumption that all the students are going to transition back to face soon. And for our fieldwork students, we really believe that that's not the truth for a while. And that led to a discussion on the flexibilities that Marquita and the CSU system worked with the Commission on Teacher Credentialing to create some flexibilities to help our fieldwork students and our student teachers and things like that. And so one thing that I mentioned to the group is the flexibilities are being extended and being voted on at the CTC today. The meetings are this week. And so it's currently the flexibilities are due to sunset the end of August. If I remember correctly, I believe that it's now going to be extended till the end of 2021. One thing our team made note of, though, is the moment CTC, the Commission on Credentialing, officially approves this as an extension, we know that we need to send it out to the EDU COP, so that way if people aren't here today, they're still going to get the information. So that's basically, one last thing too. We also talked about how do we include additional school sites for our students? And one example would be if you know of a private school that has a diverse student population and has teachers that are credentialed, why can't we utilize them as a fieldwork site? And so we want more discussion about that. So ours was more focused on kind of topics and more discussion that we need to have as faculty and as administrators versus what students need, but really robust discussion. We could have talked for a lot longer, our group.
Renee, are you under the impression that you cannot use private schools for observation hours?
They are supposed to be for the EDU, the 200 CID, they are supposed to be in a public institution with a credentialed teacher.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so, and that also, Doug, that also goes back to this idea though of, can we change the CID, which is something we're talking about, and how do we do that? And so that kind of goes into, it's kind of like we have this parking lot right now of all these ideas for the CID that needs to change. And so once we get some ability to make those changes, we're going to know the direction that the field wants it to go.
Renee, I spoke to somebody, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but I've spent literally 2 years trying to communicate with somebody at CID to get the revision in the Ed 1 class to include secondary ed as well for the observation for people
Absolutely.
who are secondary ed. And in addition to that, he told me, well, you've got to have the CSU faculty are the ones that need to make those changes. And I've been getting emails that show CID, that they're calling for CID faculty, and I don't see anything for education. And I have for years been trying to get these things addressed so that we get rid of some of these roadblocks. You know, like a lot of my students were going to, I can't remember the name of the school now because I had to eliminate it, but it was a private school, very diverse. All the teachers were credentialed. And I kept saying, why can't we use this school? It's phenomenal. Their teaching practices were awesome. And it's more of that restriction that we keep running into that prevents our students from moving forward. You know, we've got to
give us the guidelines. Like, I mean, like, you know what I mean, Kathleen, with what you're saying, like if our students can be placed at that school site, as long as the classroom is diverse and the teacher's credentialed, then maybe another parameter is they're not allowed to be in there or to count the religious instruction time towards their field work. Maybe it's just the academic subject content.
This wasn't even a religious school. It was just a private school. But I know of my Education 203 course, which is a CSUN course initially, and the same thing. It must be a public or charter K through 12 or multicultural institution.
So we need to work on that.
Yeah.
For sure. I also want to point out in the chat that Bill made a note about when anytime you're getting units, you want them to be tied as much as possible to improving instruction. So I'm sorry I was like all nonchalant about telling about my bulletin board workshop. So I'll be honest, bulletin boards were not a great thing for me, so it was actually helpful for me. But I do agree with what he said, and as a former school board member, it's really important to hear his voice really loudly on this. So thank you, Bill, for sharing.
I have one quick question. I had this with Fullerton, so I want to clarify something. Let's say that you're 40 hours from Education 200 and the other ones you bring in from a community college, like we have, whatever, let's say you bring in 60 hours. Does that supposedly counts towards your 400 hours that you get at the CSU? So the question is, when they waive it, does that mean that they still have to do those the hours that they missed as part of the 400, or it's waived? Do you understand what I'm saying?
If they get credit for it, then it's going to count towards it. And so those will not be hours that they need to duplicate. So like I've had some students that just showing that they passed the EDU class was sufficient in terms of that. I've had other students that had to have their log that showcased all their sign-ins plus all of the, the days they signed in, plus their teacher signing off every day, plus the final faculty sign-in. And I've also had times where that wasn't sufficient and the school wanted a separate formalized letter from me stating that the student completed all that. But I always told my students, I was like, look, you don't need to take the class again. So even if I have to do a couple different things for you to get credit, that's what we sign up for when we're faculty and we're their, support system.
Okay. But what about the alternative hours? Let's say someone, did 45 alternative hours. Does that mean that they really weren't in a classroom? Is the CSU going to say, okay, so you were supposed to have,
No, Sharon, they should not. That's the whole point of the flexibilities and what we've been working with Marquita on, and it should not be an issue. As far as I know, Megan and Shannon, if I'm misspeaking though, please.
You have to look out for that because, as I say, the alternative hours, the assignments I'm giving, they're horrific because I don't want them to do it. I want them to try harder to get a Zoom classroom at least. But they should be counted.
Yeah.
Yeah, the alternative is what's hopefully being extended today, like Renee said, and we're okay. It's when we come back that we need to follow those more strict guidelines in the CID course. But perhaps we can invite Janice Perry to share more because I know she's on that committee for CID and helping to take a second look at that and to make it fit our needs better.
I don't think we're going to have an issue now. I think we're going to have an issue for the students who take the class and then wait 5 years to continue. Do you know what I mean? When there's a gap, those ones who are going and they are going to transition and I think it's going to be like, oh, well, they're part of the pandemic. Like, it's like this other group of students and we treat them differently. But the ones who go far removed, I think we might have issues.
Okay. That's it. Last March, we met with Fullerton and they said, okay, so it's waived for a semester. We're going, oh, I don't know, because you have to apply. Sometimes students take a long time to apply. So I just think we have to be on top of this and we can't, we can't let it slide.
Yes, absolutely.
Scary stuff.
Well, this is such good information. I think we can see if we can continue the conversation our next meeting when we also want to talk about apprenticeships. But let's take a quick look at least at graduation thoughts and ideas. Renee?
Yes, I have some things I want to share with everybody. But before we do, just for like a minute or two, any thoughts on what you're doing for graduation this year? A lot of people thought it was going to be virtual. Now we're seeing a lot of campuses that are including some different elements that we were not originally thinking. So anybody, one or two people have something cool or different that they want to share with us? Sorry, I see that Shannon's having a drive-through.
That's cool.
Okay, no problem if people don't want to share because we have some things that we want to share with you. Now, one of the things that we looked up, Megan or Shannon, do you mind going to the next slide? One of the things that we looked up and we wanted to make sure that we could share with everybody was I've worked with this company via promotions for, gosh.
Oh yeah, you have
14 years, okay? Right. They're like this little mom and pop shop in my town that run their business out of their garage. I'm not lying. This is as small business as it gets. Anyways, Marlene and her team, I said, Marlene, we need some ideas for graduation. They need to be cost efficient. This is what we're interested in. You know, how much would it cost to get a pin? How much would it cost to get a stole? Like, you know, what kind of things are available? And so it was kind of cool because Antelope Valley College has started a new kind of extension of their teacher prep program, and they're working on creating a new logo. So we were messing around with creating a logo for them. That's not a real logo yet, just so everybody knows. But we took the AV logo and we put it inside the TPP apple, just as an example. And so what we did here with the help of VIA is they have some samples of having like a small pin, having a larger pin. That would be something that would be on, you know, on top of your graduation gown. It could go on a stole, but if it does go on a stole, it will make a hole. And so what I did in the past is I used to have teach pins from my campus, and I would give it out to all students that were graduating, but I would also give it out to all of the faculty and all of the administrators, because it wasn't about it being a gift. It was about it being a representation of success of our program. And it was about marketing our program and having a consistent vision when we go to these graduations and when we go out in the community to showcase that we're involved in Teach in my campus. So anyways, one thing I found is that when you present a student or somebody with one of these items, it ends up being a keepsake that is like a lifelong keepsake. So we wanted to share these with you if these would be of interest. If this isn't what you're looking for, but you still want to see if you can, you know, afford something, or one thing that's real important is I know not everybody has funding right now, but I do know that this is the middle of April, and I know fiscal year ends June 30th. And I know all of our ordering departments and purchasing departments don't want to be doing anything come like second week of May, right? And so this is a time of the semester, a time of the school year where there are pockets of leftover money on campus. And so if you don't have funding, but you want to get something like this, it's a great time to ask, you know, ask whatever dean you report to or whatever administrator or VP that you're working with, just see if there's any leftover funding that could be utilized. In some of our regions, you might have some strong workforce. Anyways, we wanted to share this with you. I'm hoping that what we're presenting is, you know, reasonably priced for everyone if you're interested. And anyways, it's a great company to work with. I literally have worked with them for 14 years. There's
a question in the chat box. Melissa said this looks like great prices, and are they doing online orders somewhere where we can order online?
What happens is, since it's your logo, you go back and forth. And so Marlene put her phone number there. Let me grab her email and I'll put it in the chat box for everybody. So then if you feel more comfortable just emailing her, you absolutely can. And she'll just work with you back and forth via email. You don't even have to have a formal meeting unless you want to. And she'll make sure that you get whatever you need. So I will go grab that right now. Thank you for that question.
Thank you.
And I hope everybody has fun with graduation. I hope you celebrate. And even though it's a different year, I really hope it's still, make it important, because this will be one that they remember for their lives. So
I'm going to order those pins. I've been looking for prices. That's a great price. I've been looking for a while. But we're going to have all of my entire administration's coming, and I invited all of our full-time faculty that work with our ed students to come for the drive-through event. So I should have about 30 of us out there in the loop. And we only have, I think this semester, 40 students that are graduating. So, I mean, we're going to have almost equal amounts of people there. I'm very excited for that. So
nice.
We made up goodie bags. So there's apples and a juice box. And that little pendant in their goodie bag, and then they get a Team Teach, which is the name of our ed program, t-shirt. So we'll have a table there, grab their size and hand it to them as they drive through.
I love it. You know, one of my, I work with a nonprofit or volunteer with a nonprofit. And one of the things we did one time was we did medals and they were like this, but so it was very similar to the pin, but it was hanging off of a rope, and it was so nice because you could choose the colors and the prices were really similar. So that's another thing they can offer if that's of interest.
Yeah, medallions. And then you can also buy a cord, which are super cheap, even through your bookstore probably. And so if you had a color theme, and you could pin the little pin to the cord, right? If you needed like a cheap, you don't want to do the sash or something. Kathleen?
Well, make sure your chancellor or president, whoever's the head of your campus, if you create one of these items, of course, not the stole, but if you create a pen or something like that, you want to present it to them as well.
Yes, that's a good idea.
We have Kathleen on the call, which is wonderful to keep pulling her out of retirement to keep giving us updates. So thank you, Kathleen, for coming today. And we are excited to hear an update from you. Is she there? She just put a message in the chat box to me.
I'm here. I'm here.
Okay.
I'm here. Can I share screen real quick?
Sure thing.
Thank you. I pulled it up. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Let's see. Okay.
We're getting a little feedback. If there's somebody who's not muted, if you don't mind muting, we'd appreciate it. Awesome. Thank you.
I just want to share with all of you that very quickly this Saturday, the State Academic Senate will be voting on item number 21.02, prioritizing system support for the ECE, EDU, education and human development sector. It made it to the state. Thank you to everyone on this call, Megan and Shannon and all the rest of you who've talked to your Academic Senate folks. Megan Kaplinski, especially you, because you have a very key person at Long Beach.
Sure.
I had no
Kathleen,
idea.
by the way, your screen's blank.
Oh, it is? Okay. Let me just share again. I think I pulled the wrong thing. How's that? Can you see it now?
Perfect.
Okay, so 2102, prioritizing system support, and there's a bunch of whereases. It just basically says the governor's master plan means we're going to have expanded demand, more transitional kindergarten, which links ECE and EDU in ways that are profound. That our sector ranks 5th of all sectors, and it's still not a priority sector. That COVID has made everything worse, and we had teacher shortages in ECE, TK, and K-12 before, and we think it's going to be even worse. And so our whereases are that we've asked for Academic Senate support in lifting our sector, in prioritizing our sector, and in providing us resources. So far, it went through April 12th, and there were no I guess until April 12th, people could pull it off the agenda. It wasn't pulled off. So it will be discussed on Saturday and then I guess voted. So if it does pass, this is a good opportunity for you, all of you, to talk to your Academic Senate leads, ask them to both support it, but also to better understand what some of our issues are and why this sector is so important to both the economy of California, that childcare and kids being in school is an economic development issue. It's a gender equity issue. And we really need to be a priority. We think we're a priority, but we really need to be a priority. So
can we get a copy of this?
Yeah, it's in, I think you can just Google right now because it made it here. It's in
the chat. And it's in our slides as well.
Yeah, oh, thank you. And it's in the State Academic Senate website now. It's 2102.
I see it in the chat.
Thank you. That's all I want to announce.
I don't see it in the chat.
It's in the chat. Megan put it up at 3:57 and it says link, and that one should work.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yay.
Thank you, Kathleen. Always good to see you.
Thank you all. Just trying to keep moving forward.
We appreciate it. It's so amazing. We're going to wrap up now. We know we just have a minute left, so we'll quickly go over a few announcements, save the date type information.
Yes, and Renee has one quick announcement before. Do you want me to finish up first, Renee?
Sure.
Okay. So some upcoming events. Renee is going to share some of these with us.
Excellent. On the left, we have the Department of Education as an Equity Thought Leadership Series that's happening right now. One of them is happening right this minute. They're on Facebook Live, though, so it's great if you want to access them later and whatnot. And they have some great speakers on here, so hopefully you'll check it out. I also want to point out at the top of the upcoming events, Teach for LA has our upcoming free conference happening May 3rd through 7th. On Wednesday, we're having some professional development specifically for faculty that week, and the rest of the week, we're going to have tons of different offerings for students. So we'll make sure everybody on the COP gets that. And we invite you and your students to be involved in any way that you'd like to. We also have our upcoming Edu CoP meeting that's going to be focusing on apprenticeships on May 12th. I do want to put a shout out to Randy Wolf and the ESEPS team that has their apprenticeships conference coming up at the end of this month. If anybody wants some information on that, just shoot me an email. I'm happy to get that flyer to you or get that information to you. Also, the ECE COP, the Early Childhood Community Practices meeting later this month on the 22nd. We're going to specifically be focusing the entire meeting on mentoring, and that is going to be a discussion-based meeting. We had a meeting just a few weeks ago, and we thought we left enough time for discussion. And basically, in early childhood, our mentoring program is making the biggest shift it's made in the last 32 years. And so we are spending more time on that. So hopefully everybody can be involved and jump in when you have capacity, but we appreciate you being here, and I will hand it back over to Shannon. Oh, sorry, Megan.
Yeah, no problem. Don't forget, we're going to be announcing soon the next dates of the ACTEP professional organizations speaker series that are open to members and guests. So you can email me if you'd like to get on our non-members list, but we're also doing our membership drive. You might remember the March Madness, buy one, get one. New programs can still join for free, and it's buy one, get one if you're returning. So the membership link is there. So do look for the next emails with all our different, save the dates and information, and it'll also be posted soon to the ACTEP website once dates are finalized.
Do we have anybody new? We put it in the chat a few times. Anyone who's on today that it's their first time at the COP? We were all excited for our $25 Starbucks gift card raffle. So
and our
is there
wheel.
anybody officially that's it's their first time? And
maybe we'll roll it over to next time.
okay, maybe we'll roll it to next time. That well, if for some reason somebody doesn't feel like okay saying it, just shoot us an email and let us know. We're totally flexible and we're here to support you. And we appreciate you being here today and taking your time out of what we know is an incredibly busy time of the semester. So with that, I think Shannon and Megan will probably wrap it up. But thank you everybody for being here.
Yes.
Thank you for having us.
I know, I was excited to use the wheel today. I learned how to use the wheel online to put in the names. So I'm using it with my class now, so I'm excited. A couple of quick updates. Again, our Canvas course virtual resources are always available for you. There were some components that I'm still working on. I did learn that there's a few videos that are not closed caption. I haven't found them all yet, but I'm weeding through some of those. But during the process of sharing these resources, I ended up meeting with my friends and colleagues from other community colleges near me, and we are working together. We actually are meeting again this Friday. My campus is almost fully OER, so my education degree students do not pay textbook costs. My degree is a ZTC degree, so I'm using our background with that OER model to work with other colleges to create an entire OER course for the Intro to Ed teaching course. So we'll be adding that to the comments, hopefully mid-summer, so we can have that up and running by fall. So the ancillary materials, the activities, assessments, all of those pieces we're developing now, so that there is no textbook cost in that process. So we're excited for that. All of the virtual resources will continue to be added to that as well, since we are in that frame right now. So be on the lookout for that. We're hoping that that will really help supporting onboarding new faculty within your districts.
Shannon, where is this slideshow that you're showing right now? Is it linked somewhere? I don't know where it is.
Yes, it was in the chat box. I will drop it back into the chat
okay.
box.
Yeah, thank you so much.
No worries.
Doug, if you have any issues too, just email or text us and we'll make sure you get it.
Okay, but if she puts it in the chat, I'll copy it right now. I probably missed it earlier.
No worries. I'm getting the link for you now. I have a lot of tabs open. Megan, do you want to close this out? I think we're
sure. We're just glad you came. So about half of you stayed to the very end. Woohoo! We should do the prize for that. No,
you know what? I actually do want to do a quick shout out to Megan. She's not on here today, and it's for good reason. But Kim Barker, who is from Antelope Valley College, today's her 50th birthday, everybody. And so we've been like, we were supposed to have a 2-hour meeting. We've been texting and stuff. I'm like, no, you've got to like enjoy your birthday. So if any of you are friends and colleagues with Kim, and many of you are, because, you know, she's part of the group that started this, please shoot her an email today or a message and say happy birthday.
Yeah, that's great. So just thank you. We'll see you next time for our next meeting, May 12th. It'll be our final meeting, and then we'll see what we need. We hope to see you at the future conferences and the Teach LA and stuff like that. So see you soon, and again in our last meeting in May.
Nice to see everybody.
Thanks so much, everyone.
Bye,
Have a good
everybody.
rest of the day.
See you soon.
Woo, I'm gonna jump to my next meeting too. Shannon, thank you
Yeah,
so
me too.
much.
All right, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.